The Holy Gospel according to Matthew, the 25th chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like this. 10 young women took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, all of them became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a shout, "Look, here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." Then all these young women got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise replied, "No, there will not be enough for you and for us. You had better go to the dealers and buy some for yourselves." And while they went to buy it, the bridegroom came, and with those who were ready went with him into the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the other women came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But the Lord replied, "Truly I tell you, I do not know you. Keep awake, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ.
For our meditation this morning, the gospel reading that Gary read for us concludes with the line, "Keep awake, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." Bach's cantata was based on that line, and it'll be the focus of our meditation today. Though to understand that line in this parable, we need to do some careful reading. Because this parable of the 10 bridesmaids is relatively familiar, but the meaning of it is always a little elusive. Because I think most interpretations of this parable are all about the oil and the drama about the oil. As the bridesmaids wait for the bridegroom, all their oil runs out. And some, the wise ones, had brought extra, and so they're able to fill their lamps and then go with the bridegroom. The others, the foolish ones, don't bring any extra oil, and then they miss the bridegroom because they have left to go buy more oil. It's usually taken then with a message of something akin to, be prepared. Have your metaphorical oil with you at all times for the coming of Jesus. That interpretation, of course, has merit. And the message of preparing oneself for Jesus' coming is, of course, valuable. But I wonder if we haven't missed something significant with that reading that's also there. Because remember that Jesus' message at the end of the gospel reading is not, be prepared. Instead, it's, keep awake. So in the parable, how is that final conclusion about the oil at all? Nothing about that final lesson brings up oil. You'll notice nowhere in the parable does it clarify that you needed a lit lamp to go with the bridegroom. What if the oil is actually just the red herring? What if the mistake made here is not about bringing oil or not, but instead that in panic, they realize they don't have any oil and they all leave. And all they had to do was stay there when the bridegroom arrived. The oil might in fact have been superfluous, but your presence is not. And I say that because the focus is on that one thing. Keep awake. And there is a direct parallel in the parable about keeping awake. But sometimes that gets lost because of this whole thing with the oil. That when you look at it, it says, There is a drama about them falling asleep. But wise and foolish, every last one of them falls asleep. Not one of them keeps awake. The focus might not be on the oil at all. It might be on that sleeping, on that staying awake or not. That's the direct connection. And it's tricky because they don't stay awake. So what are you saying here, Jesus? But then I think the moment of grace. The focus on staying awake, they don't stay awake, but they're woken up anyway. And they're not woken up in terror, but in invitation. The message that wakes them up is, look, here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him. Not, you foolish people who fell asleep when you weren't supposed to. That message is not also that, oh, let's wake up so you can all get prepared because the wedding party is miles away but is coming soon. The bridegroom was there. Look, here is the bridegroom. It's been there the whole time. Then the drama about the oil resulting in these 5 leaving when the bridegroom was actually present. To stay awake here might mean simply remain present. And this is important because I think it speaks to what faith is after all. It doesn't call us to stay awake trying to, keep our eyes open for the coming of Jesus like a child looking to get a glimpse of Santa Claus. It says remain awake, but be awake to what's already in front of you. Look, here is your bridegroom. Stay awake to Christ already in our presence. Stay awake to the power of God already among us. Don't get caught up in the oil of confusion of other things. God is here among you right now. That is staying awake. But just like those bridesmaids, there are times we're going to fall asleep. That is a normal thing to do. Sleep is a necessary thing for us to do. And it's going to happen spiritually because we live in a broken world where we do struggle. We have our own oil that distracts us from God. But here, I think, is where the metaphor struggles because oil, one way or another, is a pretty innocuous thing. But the things that distract us from God are far more serious. It's the very real pain and suffering that we experience. It's the grief we feel over loved ones lost. As a pastor, this time of year is filled with joy, but I also talk to a tremendous number of people for whom this time of year is incredibly difficult. As families all gather together, we're reminded of who is not here. And our grief can overtake us. And it persists and hurts. Those are the real distractions and confusion that we have. Those are the oil here. And the hard part of that is that there's no easy answer for them. We live in a broken world governed by the power of sin and death. And it can haunt us. That's how we have oil. That's how we fall asleep. But then we are woken up. Just like the shout here, here is the bridegroom, God already among us, even in the midst of that pain and suffering. We didn't need to stay awake. Jesus has come into our lives, even if we don't have a light that we're able to see where Jesus is. That doesn't change whether Jesus is here or not. In fact, so very frequently, it is when we can't see how God is present in our lives that God can be most present. I think it's very interesting what this cantata does with this interpretation of this parable, because it does kind of an interesting interweaving of staying awake. But you notice one thing it doesn't do? is once mentioned the foolish bridesmaids. It's simply not in there. Instead, it focuses almost completely on the wedding feast, which is sort of mixing metaphors, but it's okay, borrowing from Saga Songs and Isaiah. But I think it is theologically helpful, because the cantata is pointing out something important of the lesson from this parable. You're not going to stay awake if your only motivation is fear. Fear of being left behind or left out. Fear of judgment. Our world is already too broken and hard for us, and we're already anxious and stressed and afraid enough. Adding more isn't going to help us stay any more awake. It only provides more cause for exhaustion than we already do. Instead, what the cantata does is focuses on the wedding feast, the joy of the coming feast, the joy that will finally provide us the final relief we so desperately need from this broken world. After all, who honestly cares if God is here unless it's going to matter and change in my life, unless it's going to live into something that matters? The joy of that wedding feast matters. God being present right now matters, because it provides us meaning and hope, and oh, do we need hope. In the midst of pain and fear, I have a God who wakes me up, and the true joy I can experience, because I can only experience it because it's beyond understanding. I have a God who doesn't care if I bring oil along or not. God is here already. I have a God who embraces me where I am and says, "Come into the banquet. Let us be fully united together in joy." Thanks be to God. Amen.